They threatened again immediately through another one of their youngsters, Julian Draxler. Yuki Love hasn't even had a chance to shake the hands of the match officials, and his team are in front. I'm not sure that's what the vast majority of the crowd here quite had in mind, Alejandro. Ecuador conceding after 12 seconds.
I don't think it's what you and I had in mind. Shuffling papers over here.
Cruz inside to Draxler. Well, it was actually even quicker. We've been given the official timekeeper's verdict, Alejandro, and it was 9 seconds. So maybe one of the fastest international goals of all time.
And you and I have a chance to call it, Adrian.
At the home of the Owls, no less. I'll tell you actually what the quickest international goal of all time was. Galtier of San Marino against England in 1993. He scored after 8.3 seconds.
Well, you know that very well, don't you, Adrian?
Well, all English fans will tell you about that goal. That was a game England needed to win 7-0. They ended up winning 7-1, but after a nasty surprise at the start.
Against soccer powerhouse San Marino,
yes. Huh? Marcel Janssen here on the near side for Germany. Germany, remember, don't have any World Cup qualifiers to worry about in this June FIFA window. They won't play again until September, but they're sitting pretty. 8 points clear at the top of their qualifying group. Cruz back to Janssen, who digs in and wins it back to Heiko Westermann, another player we haven't seen too often of late. Definitely a Hamburg feel to the back for Germany, with Westermann, Janssen and goalkeeper René Adler, all from the club on the North Seaport, Hamburg.
And Hamburg gave up 53 goals this season, which is middle of the pack.
An opening here again for Germany, and it's 2-0. Lars Bender has made it a glorious start for Germany, but a nightmare for Ecuador.
And the marking out of the back from Ecuador, or lack thereof. Look how spread they are. Look how Paredes stays in behind the back four, and it allows Lars Bender to be onside, walking right through the middle of the two center backs. In the end, a simple finish by Lars Bender. Good run through the middle. But very, very simple from Germany very early on. And dominant so far. Ecuador, shocking.
Lars Bender, whose twin brother Sven was so impressive for Borussia Dortmund this season, and indeed at Wembley in the Champions League final on Saturday. That's just his second international goal. Lars plays for Bayer Leverkusen. Now, just remind me, Alejandro, this is the Ecuador who are second in South American World Cup qualifying.
Yes, and I had all sorts of positive things to say about this national team, and I'm about to scrap it altogether. Because defensively, between Frickson Eraso and Christian Achillier in the middle of the back, they're too spread, too much space in between them, and it's just simply too easy, Adrian.
It's been a shambolic start defensively by them, hasn't it? They have beaten Portugal and Colombia in recent months. They've only lost once in their last 10 games, Ecuador. They've scored 22 goals during that run as well. And here they are under duress again, with Podolski bearing down on the defence. Doesn't happen for him this time, and Banguera just happy to get his hands on the ball.
And in going back to the goals, it's not like Germany's doing something special, something revolutionary in soccer. It's a straight run out of the midfield from Lars Bender and a straight ball. Something that you would think center backs that are actually picked up would be able to handle very easily. Just very basic stuff, and so far Ecuador has gotten it all wrong.
Yeah, it's not like they're playing a young, inexperienced lineup either. This is pretty much their first choice starting 11, wouldn't you say, Alejandro, as Valencia tries to make some inroads with Ecuador's first attack.
Agent, this is the squad. This is it. They don't have any other players coming in. This is the squad. This is the group that will feature against Peru. It's a dress rehearsal for them, and so far it's been a failure.
Early days, though. As Caicedo gets on the ball for the first time. Jefferson Montero, but easily cut out the back by Neustadter.
I was saying, Adrian, prior to the goal, that Hamburg has allowed 53 goals this season, or allowed 53 goals this whole year in Bundesliga. That's bottom of the table down, or middle of the table down for Bundesliga. So if you have 3 guys from Hamburg, from their defensive unit, that means one thing and one thing only. One of the center backs and the right back from Hamburg were absolutely terrible. Because if you have the left back and the center back and the goalkeeper, and you gave up that many goals, there's something wrong.
There's a lot of Bayer Leverkusen and Schalke out there today as well for Germany. Ecuador have the big 3 up front or an attacking midfield. Caicedo, Jefferson Montero and Chucho Benitez. There was a thought, Alejandro, that Benitez wasn't going to start today given his recent Liga MX action.
2 games in 4 days, and one of those games went in extra time and into penalty kicks. And as we said in the open, Chucho Benitez, champion, Liga MX champion with Club America after defeating Cruz Azul in the finals.
And he has been simply red hot, hasn't he, in Mexican domestic football, really, since he moved to Club America. And a record of goal scoring at international level that isn't exactly shabby either for Benitez.
Yeah, in Liga MX, he's absolutely, completely, without a doubt, the best forward in the league. 2012 Apertura, he was voted the MVP and leading goal scorer for the league. Clausura 2013, leading goal scorer in the regular season, leading goal scorer in the playoffs, and this is the stat that really gets me. Of the 9 goals scored by America in the playoff, he assisted or scored 7 of those 9 goals.
So a fairly central figure to Club America's success, I think you could conclude, as Cruz sets off on a run. Lloyd Sam is more known as a left-sided player, but operating on the right at the moment. Very much a left footer, Sidney Sam. Ecuador 0, Germany 2, if you're just joining us. An astonishing outburst by Yogi Löw's side, ahead after just 9 seconds and doubling their advantage 3 minutes later. This was the second of the goals. As you said, Alejandro, just a routine pass.
Just a straight run out of the midfield, followed by the straight pass.
And they're on the go again. Cruz's cross is cut out by the retrieving captain, Iovi. Walter Iovi, the most experienced player out there in terms of international caps for Ecuador. Julian Draxler across to take this, the 19-year-old from Schalke. Banguera got his fingertips to it and was unable to prevent the second corner.
Can we just say that Ecuador hasn't quite been, shall we say, convincing in the back so far?
Yet to truly find their feet defensively.
Oh, boy.
We've got more to worry about here. Westerman and Huedes will provide targets up from the back. Mertesacker will be a worry too. In towards Mertesacker, didn't quite get a touch on it at the near post. Back to Rene Adler, who's had to be very patient Manuel Neuer in the pecking order. German goalkeepers. Podolski up to win that. Montero. Caicedo. Antonio Valencia, the Manchester United man, on the near side. Facing a bank of two. Christian Naboa taking over. And at last, some sustained possession for Latry. Caicedo to Benitez. The volume level of the crowd going up a notch or two since Benitez settled on the ball.
And though it was a long stretch of possession for Ecuador, you never got the sense that Germany was too concerned. They were organized behind the ball, very much in control of what's going in front of them. And Ecuador, all their passes seem to be more horizontal than vertical.
Another one of those slide rule passes, doesn't quite come off this time. I'll give a Sydney Sam. No foul given on that incident. Yogi Love used this excursion to the United States to call up 4 players for his squad who hadn't received a cap before for Germany, and 2 of them are out there today, in Cruz and Sam. Marcel Janssen. Hauled in by Benitez. Caicedo. With much travel that Felipe Caicedo winning the free kick. Once of Manchester City. Now playing his club football in Russia. Alejandro with Lokomotiv Moscow, but it stops in Spain along the way for Caicedo. He's still only 24. And here he goes again. Couldn't quite engineer the cut back and turn.
Caicedo's a guy with all the physical attributes, and it's really surprising that he hasn't been able to stick with one club in particular.
Montero weaving his way through. Chucho trying to get it back to him. Just some first signs of promise for Ecuador as they try and recover from that excruciating start.
I feel like they had to press the reset button.
Well, I guess if there is a silver lining, Ronaldo Rueda would say better it happens in this game than against Peru or Argentina in early June.
Adrian, I appreciate your effort and massage in the situation.
You're not buying it, is what you're saying.
Well, more importantly, I don't think Reinaldo Rueda is buying that either.
He, by the way, is trying to become the 3rd Colombian manager to lead Ecuador to a World Cup finals. And he has more to worry about here. Podolski on his way. Caicedo. Or more from the quick goals department, Alejandro. I know you like the quick goals department. Last time Germany scored in the very first minute of a game was back in June of 2000 against another world power, Liechtenstein.
Nice work, Adrian.
How to get San Marino and Liechtenstein into a game between Ecuador and Germany. It takes some doing, I can tell you.
That's being played in Boca Raton.
It's Oliver Bierhoff, by the way. Remember him who scored that goal? Here's Podolski. Janssen.
What a great goal scorer he was, Bierhoff, huh?
Yeah, they've had a few in their time, haven't they, Germany? Talked about Podolski's goal, getting him just 2 behind Jürgen Klinsmann. Kroos teeing up Podolski, and he's only 1 behind now. Number 46 in his international career, and Germany are running riots.
Right now they're simply playing at a different pace and a different tempo than Ecuador is. This is just simple. 1, 2 touches, movement with and without the ball. Nice running behind by Max Cruz. Cut the ball back to Podolski on his favorite left foot once again. Low to the far post. The movement of the ball by Podolski allows him to get free, and the Ecuadorian defenders struggling to keep track.
Lucas Podolski answering the call. He felt that the German media had really kind of hyped up these couple of games for him, saying it was his chance to remind Jogi Löw of his goal-scoring prowess, and he's done just that. In the absence of some of the frontline German strikers, Thomas Müller, Mario Gomez not here. Toni Kroos, Marco Reus. And then you get into Mesut Ozil and Schweinsteiger too. So many big names not part of this trip to the United States, and yet look at this scoreline.
But right now, as well as Germany is playing, it has to do with how poor Ecuador has been as well. The defending in that third goal is just, I can't truly explain it without using some choice words. It's not good at all, Adrian. And lack of defending, lack of track and running, Thurman running, things that are very simple and things that are talked about defensively and that you have to do better with, Ecuador has been lacking.
Montero trying to squeeze it through to Benitez.
Don't take anything away from the finish from Podolski and the ball played in by Max Cruz, but again, the marking in the middle of the box by Christian Achiller and Frickson Eraso has been very, very poor.
More from Germany as they try and construct another move down the left. Cruz is shielded away from the danger zone then by Paredes. And a chance for Caicedo to latch onto it. Here goes Jefferson Montero, who also plays in Mexico. And Caicedo stood on the ball. The first time he's done that either. The Dutch, Alejandro, have a great saying about defending, the like of which I think we've just seen. They say it's goat's cheese defending. It's soft and it stinks.
Not quite sure what I can do with that, Adrian. Oh, man.
I don't think we'd get any argument from Rueda this time, would we? As the shot comes in from Sydney Sam. If you were late turning on to this game, you probably shouldn't have been.
But even in this particular play, you got to tackle. If you're Segundo Castillo, you're losing 3-0. You haven't been defending well. You have to come in and tackle and win a 50-50 ball. Somebody's got to make a statement for Ecuador. Otherwise, just walk off the field. Save us the time. You would have felt, and you said it in the opening, that this is a game where Ecuador has a lot of support from their fans here in Boca Raton. People that have traveled to see this national team play and that are very excited to see this national team play. But so far, they have not shown up, and they're playing again, at a different pace than the German national team is. And it's not a faster pace.
Has there been any evidence of this defensive weakness at all in their World Cup qualifying campaign? They did lose 4-0 against Argentina. That was their last defeat, Alejandro, last June.
Well, the thing that has been different about this Ecuadorian national team in this World Cup qualifying round is that usually these teams are physically gifted, they're talented, but they're not nearly mentally tough as they should be. And when things get tough, they usually are not the kind of team that you can rely upon. But this round of qualifiers, they've gotten results at home. They've done enough to get results away from home, so they've shown some of that mental strength. Not today, of course.
Always a different dynamic, isn't it, with a friendly? So
the friendly, Adrian, in the sense that you're still losing the way you are. You're not playing well. You're not defending well. So that creates and plants that seed of doubt. And you don't want to go into World Cup qualifiers thinking about some of the negative ideas that come out of a game like this one.
And that recent string of results, as I said, has lifted Ecuador to the highest ever ranking with FIFA. Top 10 in the world at the moment. But they're up against a team who is still number 2, let's not forget, in Germany. Podolski. Easily cut out by Mertesacker, and Germany can start the building process again. Neustadt just taking his eye off the ball, but how quickly they've won it back. Podolski trying to turn provider this time, it seems. On it goes, the shot has opened up, and it is 4-0 to Germany. And anything Podolski can do, Lars Bender can do too, it seems. 2 for each of them.
Well, I'm going to stop talking about the lack of defending for Ecuador and point at the fact that Germany is simply playing at a different level than Ecuador is. Just knocking the ball around, finding open spaces, nobody steps to the ball. Once they draw a defender in, space and time, hits it low and hard. Maximo Anguera doesn't deal with it well. And a second goal for Lars Bender.
Well, it's gone from a tragic start, hasn't it, for Ecuador to awful, now verging on embarrassment. 4-0 down. And not even 25 minutes played. And there doesn't seem to be any hint of resistance from this Ecuador defense.
It's a lack of intensity out of the middle of midfield and out of the center backs is very surprising in a game that is actually very important for Ecuador, in the sense that it's the first time that they're playing with that 10th ranking from FIFA.
Yeah.
And that has some value to Ecuador. There's a lot for them to gain out of a game like this.
Now then, first look at goal for Montero, who went to work inside the penalty area. Shot is on, but safely held by Adler. First effort on goal from Reinaldo Rueda's team.
And Reinaldo Rueda called this an opportunity for growth. And even though it's a friendly, it's an opportunity for Ecuador to think about the big picture and think about the future in terms of, if we do well against teams like Germany, then we open ourselves up for opportunity to play against other big teams. And we can only improve if we play against some of those first-class teams. But when you come out here and get trounced 4-0, 25 minutes in, then obviously that puts questions in, not only in your team, but it puts questions in the mind of everybody else that sees you as the 10th ranked team in FIFA.
Yeah, it was the first time they'd ever made it into the top 10. They've been to 2 previous World Cups, Ecuador, but two recent ones, 2002 and 2006 in Germany. Well-timed tackle by Janssen. Stymies the latest Ecuadorian attacker. What about that for a touch? It has Cruz on his way here. Max Cruz, the debutant. Sure, you've got to get in on the goal-scoring action. More fiercely defended this time by the captain, Iov. Walter Iov, who plays with Monterrey in Mexico. Sam to Huedes. Pirouette move from Sam. He ended up on the ground for his troubles.
And Germany simply passing and moving, knocking the ball around. No resistance from Ecuador, no intensity, no change of pace, and Germany simply dominating every facet of the game so far.
As they did in the only previous meeting between these two teams. I'll tell you about that in a second, because this is Benitez. Looked as though he was just going to slip in Caicedo there, but the tackle arrived in the nick of time. Sam. No joy this time against Iov, and then Castillo finding his way to safety. Now Valencia. 4 years he's been with Manchester United. Prior to that with Wigan. Easily mopped up by Mertesacker. He was just seemingly lying in wait. Previous meeting between these two teams was at World Cup 2006. Germany, as the host nation, beat Ecuador 3-0 in Berlin. Lucas Podolski was on the score sheet that day as well. Miroslav Klose grabbed a couple. But Ecuador were pointing to the fact that they had already qualified out of their group in that particular meeting. They didn't need a result. They made it to the second round.
Everything is so simple right now for Germany. 1 and 2 touches, keeping the ball moving, and now it becomes an exercise in possession for the rest of the game.
Valencia inside to Caicedo. Montero, is the shot on? It is, it's a curler, and back off the crossbar. Oh, Ecuador within a whisker, and at least getting one back. Their best move of the game.
And Jefferson Montero is just a very good one-on-one player. You give him time and space, he cuts inside, and good shot on target. Unfortunate that he's not able to dip in underneath the crossbar.
Yeah, he's in his first season, isn't he, with Morelia Monarcas. Jefferson Montero in Liga MX. After 3 years in Spain. It didn't quite work out for him, I think it's fair to say. He did okay with Betis.
It's a skillful player, pacey player, a guy that likes to work the outside. He likes to tuck inside as well. He likes to combine. It's a good 1v1 player. A change of pace, an impactful player for Monarcas Morelia.
Here he is again. Montero, the man at the moment for Ecuador, and he's stuck a toe out to win that back for Iov. That was a really loose pass at the end of that move. Rather spoilt what had come before it. Half an hour in, and another spell of possession for Ecuador. Valencia.
See what Germany is doing defensively against Valencia is every time he takes a touch towards the sideline, then they'll bring in Jansen and they'll bring in a central midfielder who comes outside, and now it becomes a 2v1 situation out on the sideline, and he runs out of space.
This is Montero's effort to Alejandro.
And once he cuts inside, he knows he wants to bend it to that far post, trying to dip it underneath the crossbar. Unfortunate for him and for Ecuador, and perhaps for us, that he's not able to score. Maybe they would find a way back into the game.
Well, they have to start somewhere, don't they? Here's Benitez, another likely source of a comeback. 24 goals in 58 appearances for Ecuador. Chucho Benitez. Valencia, wide now to Paredes. Caicedo, can he engineer an opening? He might be able to. And a swing of the left foot didn't really connect convincingly.
And more importantly, I think Caicedo pulls a hamstring here. I'm pretty certain that he hurts something here because he starts grabbing the back of his leg and looking out towards the sidelines.
Yeah. Let's see if that actually results in problems for Caicedo. He's grimacing quite visibly, isn't he?
So it's one thing to lose this game 4-0 and a whole other thing entirely to lose a guy like Felipe Caicedo, who has been a very important part of your team, a difference maker in the final third in World Cup qualifiers.
Well, that would be a bad afternoon that just got much worse, if it is indeed what you think it might be, Alejandro.
Well, that is the universal sign of I just did my hamstring, the grabbing the back of the leg like that.
Which is what, 2 weeks minimum?
That is 15 days at the very least.
Which would potentially rule him out of at least one and probably both of their World Cup qualifiers. They have Peru on the 7th and Argentina on the 11th of June.
It's in the cut back here once he tries to reach back. You could tell that he was uncomfortable right after the play.
Well, he's waved away the stretcher. Not sure it was the most sturdily built stretcher, if you ask me. But United States against Belgium is coming up later on tonight from Cleveland. That'll be a fascinating watch, won't it? As the young, talented Belgium side take on Jurgen Klinsmann's squad in the first of 5 games in the next 3 weeks for the US.
Yeah, it'll be a busy month for the United States national team, and a challenging month at that.
Hope you can join us for that later on, 8 p.m. Ishaq and Taylor Twelman.
I mean, that Taylor Twelman left you?
Yeah, I couldn't get him to come home from LA. He's like, no, I gotta go to Cleveland, go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I want a game too.
Don't worry about it, Agent. I'm filling in nicely.
You certainly are. I don't know what I'd do without you. Renato Ibarra has been the man to come in for Felipe Caicedo. Known as an out-and-out winger, Ibarra. I don't know if that's a fair description in your books. Alejandro, I know he had Chelsea interested in him a couple of seasons ago, Ibarra.
Yeah, he's a winger, but he's a guy that he'll force Valencia to tuck inside and play up top, and then Ibarra will take the right-hand side. It's an up-and-back player, skillful player, and a guy that would like to get to the end line and get services in from the flank.
Felipe Caicedo's afternoon in Florida is over. had one of the longest trips of all to get here as well, from Moscow, where he plays for Lokomotiv.
And that's perhaps the biggest challenge that national teams face, is that you have to bring in these players from long distances, then you have to put them out on the field because you want to make sure that you have the players that you need in order to have your team be successful. And this was a dress rehearsal, as we said. And so, long trip, perhaps not the best training setting, not the best training situation. You put them out on the field, you hope that the players make it out of the game without getting injured. Now all of a sudden he'll probably be out for a couple of weeks.
Now here's Max Cruz heading into the penalty area. Sharp cut back too, but this time the tackle arrives, and there's been precious few of those from the Ecuadorian defence. Ibarra getting his first feel of the ball. Continuing his run too, the substitute who plays in Dutch football with Vitesse Arnhem.
You can see right away what Ibarra wants to do. He wants to get in behind Westerman, trying to force the ball into spaces where he can run with the ball, but his movement of the ball will dictate where those balls are going to go and where the spaces are going to be for him in the final third.
A pretty good year in the Eredivisie by all accounts. Alejandro, I know you watch a lot of that league as Benitez makes progress. Couldn't quite connect with Valencia, but the attack's still alive. Montero. The jinking wasn't fooling anyone from Montero. Lars Bender just stuck out a long leg.
It's a big year for Montero. Not only some success with Marcas Morelia, they made it into the Liguilla playoffs. Were bounced out by Cruz Azul, but now into the national team.
And into the penalty area goes Benitez here. Well, the tee-up was the right one for Segundo Castillo, who's one of the more experienced members of this Ecuadorian squad. He was at the World Cup in Germany 7 years ago. There he is, number 14.
Yeah, fantastic hair design.
On from Valencia. Ibarra taking over. They want a stoppage in play, and they're going to get it. Checking the defender down. Actually, Lars Bender, who had one international goal before this afternoon at Florida Atlantic University, and now he has 3. He's got this to deal with. That's what Yogi Love thought of the tackle from Valencia. Suspender's second, wasn't it? Squeezing it under Banguera. Maybe should have done better.
Should have done better, but then again, when you give so much time and space, 18 yards out, Lars Bender has all the time in the world to pick out the corner, hits it well, down low. Banguera doesn't do enough with it. There's a myriad of mistakes there, though, from Ecuador. Plenty of blame to go around in the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, Bender's only previous goal for Germany came at last summer's Euros. He got the winner against Denmark. Game in the group stages. Germany, who came so close again last summer, the one thing they haven't done in the recent era is to crown all their achievements with a title. It's been interesting to hear some in the German Federation saying, well, they don't actually have any chance of lifting the title in Brazil, which I'm quite sure I buy, Alejandro. They have to be one of the top European prospects, but they're talking down their chances.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Because when you're filling out the brackets, you don't put Germany automatically into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, almost a given, isn't it? I mean, they've reached the semi-final of every tournament they've been in. since 2006.
I gotta say that German national team, and really German soccer as a whole, has a different feel to it nowadays than they did 5-10 years ago. There's a lot more creativity, a lot more flair in the German game than there ever was before.
Yeah, as evidenced by the success of their domestic clubs. Here's Ibarra though, looking for a route back for Ecuador. That wasn't the route he had in mind, I don't think. The German support is here, albeit in the minority. Ibarra, who scored a big winner against Ajax this season for his club Vitesse Arnhem. One of 5 goals he grabbed. So he had that interest from Chelsea a couple of summers ago, coming off the back of the Under-20 World Cup in 2011.
Well, interest is only interest until somebody signs a paper, so...
Paper talk, isn't it? This is promising though for Ecuador, and a good save from Adler down low to deny Benitez. First big save he's had to come up with. Signs of life from Latri. Ibarra.
It's a silly mistake coming out of the back from Germany. Turnover, fall to the feet of Valencia, strikes that was able. Antonio
Podolski. Just beyond the reach of Cruz.
Going back to German soccer, I think it's worth repeating. You know, they've always been known for their toughness, their grit, their organization, their physicality. But nowadays there is a sense, as I said, of more creativity, more flair, and dare I say, players that get off the script, which is something that Germans didn't do very often. Players that actually improvise in the final third.
And it hasn't just happened by accident, has it, Alejandro? All part of a very planned, after the early part of the last, particularly in Championship, is about there a comeback for Ecuador. Well, there might just be the start of one, because Antonio Valencia has brought this crowd to life just before half-time as well. Valencia with his 8th international goal for Ecuador, and one back.
And Montero plays the ball into the box. Just a change of pace from Ibarra. Strength. Picks his head up. And Valencia picks up the rebound. Hits it well. No chance for Rene Adler. On the volley. Clean strike. Good technique. No chance for Adler. Good finish by Antonio Valencia.
Now, they always say in the game, Alejandro, that it's good to score just before halftime. Does that apply when you're 4-0 down?
Well, it'll apply in the speech that Joachim Löw is about to give, which is, we had a game under control, no problems. All we had to do was keep possession of the ball, and now all of a sudden we're giving the team some sort of life. So, yes, the game changes a little bit, but in the end, Ecuador just simply has to ramp up the intensity of the game, which they haven't done up until this point.
Something for the Ecuadorian fans to treasure. A goal from perhaps their biggest superstar in terms of worldwide acclaim, Antonio Valencia. Germany trying to reignite their attacking instincts, but there won't be time for an Ecuadorian counter-attack because the first half has come to a conclusion here. The first half that got off to an extraordinary start, and it's officially Germany's quickest ever international goal. Lukas Podolski grabbed it after just 9 seconds, went on to help himself to another. The first to be held on South American soil for so long too. Everyone wants to be there. Your nation are right in the hunt, Alejandro. Venezuela in the thick of the action.
Very much so, and there's no bigger fan of Venezuela than myself. I'm rooting hard, and I have no problem saying it.
I think many neutrals would share your view. It'd be great to see Venezuela make it for their first ever World Cup finals in Brazil. It seems appropriate. Germany are cruising there at the moment. They're 8 points clear at the top of their qualifying group. Their last two games were very routine victories against Kazakhstan, home and away, back in March. They actually haven't missed a World Cup finals of Germany since the last World Cup finals to be held in Brazil. That was all the way back in 1950.
Home of El Maracanazo.
Yeah.
Brazil lost to Uruguay in the final.
In front of what? Just 200,000? Largest crowd ever, wasn't it? Not quite that many here, I think it's fair to say. At the home of the Owls. Have to get that in again. I'm not sure how much trepidation that provides in opponents who come here and whatever sport they're playing. Got to go and take on the Owls.
They're the Fighting Owls.
Yeah, maybe. Now we're going to see a different Ecuador in this second half. Is it Barra? Remember who came on for Caicedo near the end of the first half. Customary, of course, in friendlies to see whole swathes of substitutions being made, and no reason to suspect that this will be any different.
If you're Reinaldo Rueda, though, you want to see, before you have your substitutions, you want to see 10, 15 solid minutes of Ecuador against a tough German team.
Joachim Löw has another couple of potential debutants that he could call upon. Philipp Wohlscheid of Bayer Leverkusen and Nikolai Müller too of Mainz. The shot is on. And the shot is well over from Noboa. You wouldn't think he's 4-1 up, would you?
Oh, they're losing 3-0 apparently. But again, it's a level of expectation, and it's he knows that this is an opportunity for a lot of these younger guys to make a case for themselves. And he said that they warranted this call-ups, and he wanted them to take advantage of this opportunity and make the most of this opportunity. And so he's going to push them, and he's going to try to get the most out of them, even in a result like this one.
The German Federation are trying to convince Jogi Löw to sign the contract that will keep him in place well beyond the next World Cup. It's Montero trying to drive on. Good work there from Huades to stymie that move. One back by Ecuador, Benitez! Well, he kept it low, trying to beat Rene Adler in the corner.
Good turn and a tight space by Benitez. Puts a shot on target. Saved by Adler. Simple save, really.
No stranger to scoring on American soil, by the way. Chucho Benitez, his first two. Ecuador came at Giant Stadium in New Jersey in friendlies against Peru and Ireland. Ibarra. He tried to nip round the outside. Was he fouled in doing so? He thought so. Remains to be seen whether he's won the...
He sees this ball.
Oh, and Adler had to beat it clear. Germany survived the pressure and now try and mount some of their own. Good work from Sam. On to Kruse, back to Sam. Sidney Sam, the player making his debut, but Banguera getting there first.
Good reaction of Banguera coming off his line. Strong run by Sidney Sam, and Max Kruse should have done better with the pass into the space.
This time the cross repelled. Westerman. Well, the tackle's a little fiercer at the start of the second half.
A little bit more intensity.
Yeah. Something tells me a fire may have been lit under the Ecuador players at half-time.
I think it has to be said again, Ecuador doesn't get to play Germany all the time. Doesn't get to play some of the big teams in Europe all the time. So when you have a chance like this, then you have to make the most of it. Because that'll warrant more of those games. And if you want to continue to grow as a national team, you have to continue to play with the best, or against the best teams in the world, and Germany is certainly one of them.
Chucho Benitez, isn't he? But captaining Rene Adler, getting very close to quitting the game. He was actually Germany's number one before World Cup 2010. An injury allowed Manuel Neuer to come in and take over his spot, and he's never got it back. Very nearly quit during that year out. Breakout, Draxler scored 10 goals for Schalke. It's off the pitch at the moment though, and in some pain. Still only 19. He was the second youngest ever to start a Bundesliga game in German league history. Schalke have gone to great pains to try and tie him up long term as well. He's actually put pen to paper on a new, vastly improved contract. Will Jogi Löw do the same for the German Federation? It's a variation on the old magic spray being applied to Draxler there. Some space for Valencia to try and exploit. Valencia didn't hear the footsteps. Behind you.
They're going to force a sudden. Sidney Sam and Max Kruse will try to get. Getting behind.
A couple of players trying to recover at the moment. Draxler in your picture, but also Neustadt who's down. Draxler looks as though he's going to be able to get to this moment where it's scoring. He was caught. Where was that?
Again, you can live with physical mistakes, but the lack of endeavor, the lack of commitment, the lack of attitude in a game of this magnitude, that's the part I really question about Ecuador today.
10 minutes in, and if you were to watch Yogi Love's body language, you'd still think they were 4-1 down rather than 4-1 up. Paredes. Well, it actually came off of Paredes, and cannon behind Which here in your picture, the Werder Bremen man. He's going to replace Draxler. Hunter, a name called back into the fray for this trip to the United States. Had only won 2 caps previously, and none since August of 2010. He played in a 2-2 draw against Denmark. Had a good year with Bremen though. 28 appearances, 11 goals. Now the race is on. First time ball. He's right into the path of Mertesacker, who heaves it behind for a corner.
And you look at the face of Mertesacker and you have to ask the question, is the heat starting to get to Germany a little bit? Is the weather starting to play a factor? Because they seem to be second best.
Lot in which Germany had a 4-0 lead and lost it through 4-4 against Sweden. Remember that? That was only last October. Painful memories for German fans.
Only blemish they've had in World Cup qualifiers so far. They've gotten 16 out of 18 points, and the one draw was that draw against Sweden.
They also went to Paris in a friendly in February and beat a resurgent France by 2-1. Now wriggling free is Montero. He was in perhaps even a more promising position from the one he hit the bar in the first half.
Quick interchange with Antonio Valencia in a really tight space. Good movement with and without the ball. Montero opens up his body, and instead of going for the bend to the far post, he tries to go for power, slices it with the outside of his foot, and that ball was always going to rise.
Here they come again though. Montero just fractionally behind him, had to check his run. Now taking on Huedes. Inviting the shot, which duly arrives. Adler beating it clear. And Montero curling it in. Adler forced into action again. Good spell from Ecuador.
There is such a difference between a team that is ready to play, that is ready to compete, and a team that's simply going through the motions. Ecuador going through the motions in the first half. Here in the second half, there's a certain intensity to their game, and it certainly shows in the way they're playing.
And the first half, it was like they were tourists on holiday in South Florida, Alejandro. And the second half, they've come to work. And they will make another switch here. Ronaldo Rueda is going to bring off Noboa and bring on Pedro Quiñones, one of many Emelec players domestically based in this Ecuadorian squad. Quiñones winning his 8th cap, and Chucho Benitez is also going to make way. Joao Rojas is going to come on, which he plays with Montero, doesn't he, at club level?
Yeah, they both play at Morelia. Joao Rojas usually comes from on the left-hand side. Jefferson Montero usually comes from the right-hand side. They play as wingers or outside forwards, if you will. Level for Morelia will go up.
Quick saves in succession. And maybe more to come as Paredes. Storms his way forward.
The most surprising thing about that result against Sweden, Adrian, is that not only was it
Aaron Hunch. Mertesacker. Your sense of it was right. The overall momentum, he said. Well, it's blocked. What an opportunity to cut the deficit to 2. Montero in the thick of the action again.
Oh, come on.
Statter with a turnover. Good tackle by Quiñones. Valencia picks the right pass. Montero with a poor corner to get back.
Down just a few minutes.
Season where Arsenal was celebrating that 4th place finish as if they had won the Premiership.
Well, Arsene Wenger himself says it's as good as a trophy. I'm not sure I totally agree, but it does continue. There, one of 16 unbroken seasons in the Champions League, and in financial terms that is worth more. I mean, that's, I'm sure fans would give
what it is now.
We have Mr. Roman Abramovich to thank for starting that landscape change. Awkward challenge rather than A malicious one from Achille, who's been a transformed player, hasn't he, in the second half? Now he's gone Ecuador's way. Didn't see that coming. Cruz is the player involved here.
If anybody was fouling, anybody was Achille taking down Max Cruz.
Max Cruz, a player about whom Yogilov says international appearance, also winning his second cap. His only previous appearance against Malta in May of 2010 in the lead up to the South Africa World Cup.
So that's San Marino, Liechtenstein and Malta in the same game.
We managed it. All we've got to mention now is Gibraltar, who are the newest members of UEFA. How about that? Alejandro. Could well be Germany against Gibraltar in the next qualifying for... Euro 2016. All right, Chile should...
Atahualpa de Quito, it feels like a volcano in there. Because you can't breathe, by the way.
Not an easy place to go, is it?
No.
Quito.
No, much is made of La Paz in terms of altitude and... And rightfully so. But Quito is no easy task either. I tell you, I'm not going to say that it's as hard as La Paz, but certainly is very challenging all in itself.
People's a mile high, and Quito's close to 2 miles high, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Denver is 5,280 feet, while Quito, Ecuador...
Well, a bit of a flare-up with Podolski involved. The friendly losing that friendly tag just for a few.
The late chance. In fact, all 6 wins that they've had in World Cup qualifiers in this round of qualifier has been at Quito. Al Estadio Atahualpa de Quito.
And the next team who have to go there, Argentina. That will be fascinating, won't it? As Andres Schürrle has come on now for Sydney Sam. Goes in wide way inside. Segundo Castillo, meanwhile, has made way for... Saratama. The header is well off target from Heiko Westermann. He nearly signed him last summer and looked poised to do so a year later. Here is Schürrle. There's number 9. Really prolific start to his international career, Schürrle. Just before
Bender keeps chasing.
Come on.
Quiñones standing over this for Ecuador. IOV inside the fullback Janssen here with this pass from Valencia.
It's a nice look by Antonio Valencia. Good run off the ball, but Saritama is offside, barely. Offside nonetheless.
In front of his technical surroundings. Of course, Jogi Löw will be up against his old friend Jürgen Klinsmann. Remember the two of those. Guided Germany to the World Cup semi-finals in 2006. Now they'll go against each other for the first time. USA-Germany Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on ESPN2. That game at RFK. It's a few weeks. Don't forget Belgium tonight, providing the first of 5 games for the United States. What a crucial 3 World Cup then.
About this U.S. national team after this month, these 3 games are not decisive, but certainly they will determine a lot of where the U.S. is going to be and what are the results that they're going to need closing out the hexagonal. this year.
Another yellow card coming out. No complaints either from Stefan Reinhardt.
If you're a U.S. national team fan, certainly at home.
Seems as though all 6 teams are going to remain in contention. And that hasn't... always been the case in the past.
And once you go and play into Central America, then, you know, it's difficult circumstances. The refereeing is suspect at times. Surfaces are not. They're going to. But while you're here in the, you better get the results here at home.
Well, let me ask you this, Alejandro. Do you think it's a good thing that the US are playing the calibre of opposition they are in the friendlies prior to the qualifiers? Belgium and Germany, 2 of the top teams in Europe.
Well, there's no better preparation in terms of level. I also do think, though, that there is a value to self by yourself.
Right.
Germany have a good result, have a good performance, and yes, that will spur you on. But if you go against Germany and don't do well against Belgium, now all of a sudden you face CONCACAF. Qualifiers with some doubt in your mind, and that's, as we said about Ecuador, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, that's the fear, isn't it? What happens if were to go wrong against Germany in RFK, and then your next game is one that really matters? Yeah. Over the top, the shot.
I think Ibarra has been one of the few players from Ecuador that has made an impact today and has really shown well for himself. Changed the pace of the game when he came in, and has continued to be very effective and very active in the final.
Able to get it clear.
Feeling about the game and a better attitude about the game in general, but also has to do with the fact that Germany, with a 3-goal advantage and with the weather that is not cooperating for them, they've struggled physically in the second half.
So Max Cruz sees his debut outing end, and Dennis Aogo is on another of the Hamburg contingent. Certainly we will see.
Has been size and question and whatever the case may be, but he comes to the national team and scores goal after goal after goal after goal, and really it's an impressive record in the sense of how productive he has been for the national team.
And it's been no no slouch in Italy either, Alejandro. 15 goals this year for Lazio. A chance to become... the all-time leading scorer for Germany if he gets one on Sunday against the U.
Not the first name that...
And especially when the chips are down, when it matters most as well. At World Cups, at big junctures in qualification, European Championships, he's done it all. Well, not a... enough to keep that one awake. A fan of the other Barcelona, the one from Ecuador. See some of those grabbing it for Ecuador.
They know exactly how you measure up, because if 25 minutes in you're down 3-0, it simply doesn't allow you to see what the thermometer is. You don't know exactly what is it that you are and what you can offer against Germany.
Yeah, they won, they. Paredes, tangling. With Reinhardt. Elvis Bone.
I'm not you're talking about at this point, Adrian.
He's on that Ecuadorian bench, I can tell you that. He wears number 5.
His brother Adrian Bone was injured over the weekend, so couldn't make the trip with the national team, although he had been called up.
Yeah, he's one of the backups, isn't he? His man bringing... Must have thought his international career was over at the age of 29. Hadn't played for nearly 3 years for his country. I guess he wasn't the cause of that Hamburg defensive record that you mentioned earlier, Alejandro.
I'm just saying, it must not be very able to react. Podolski and Aogo look at each other. Adler looks at them both. 4-2, Germany.
I was going to say, you're being very kind calling that a wall, Alejandro. That was more like sliding doors. It just opened right through the middle, didn't it? And a little stretch where he's winning his 80th. Here goes Schürrle for Germany.
cross from Bender. Tough to remember a shot that Germany have launched in the second half.
I think they've done.
That pass just about made its way to Adler there. Uncomfortable echoes for Germany. One afternoon in October where they had a 4. Goal lead slipped to another team who wear yellow and blue, albeit with now any points at stake today. His way through
For the length of the second half. Yeah, we have somebody run. In the field.
Well, he's displaying more pace at least than a lot of those Ecuadorian defenders did in the first half. But
He's displaying a lot more than that.
that flag is. It's not. Well, they're able to see the funny side on the bench. Julian Draxler. He's got a German wristband. Dot as well, so not sure what that tells you. Wanted to shake hands with Lars Bender too.
He scored 2 goals today, so
Bender seemed a little surprised.
at the very least.
Not quite who, doesn't it? Last change, perhaps for Jogi Löw, and one last debut if it happens. Nikolai Müller is getting set to check in. Goals. And Jürgen Klinsmann into 5th place all time in Germany national team goal scoring history, with 2 here today.
He was gifted the first one, but the second one, good finish to the far post, and the movement of the ball. Inside the box made all the difference.
By the way, Podolski was the youngest ever Europe over the next few days.
Question will be whether he's going to be able to add to those caps.
Yeah.
The current administration doesn't feel like it's the time right now.
It is time though for one last, another one to the didn't he?
He scored 2 goals. He shook the hand of a man wearing an underwear.
That's it. Not bad for an afternoon's work in South Florida. can see up for grabs, but Schürrle leading Germany away. That was careless, she went straight back. Hiding the shot, and it's just wide. Donez.
He goes wide. To say that the changes for Ecuador have had much more of an impact on the game than the changes for Germany have.
Start to prepare for the United States on Sunday. The afternoon.
Going back to Podolski for a little bit there, Adrian. You wouldn't think that Podolski would be in the same breath with Jurgen right there.
In the Premier, but Podolski 11 goals and another 10 assists as well in the Premier League, not something that normally gets tracked. Right. On cue, the rain starting to fall. In the final waning seconds of stoppage time. Haas was rising. Sally Tama's cross eluding him. That will do it. Victory for Jogi Löw. To ponder here, Rene Adler had plenty of work. To complete in the second half.
They were dominant in the
My thanks to